we had a 41-year-old add 6 to 8 inches to his vertical in the past year and lose 20 kilos, and he's jumping the highest he ever has in his life. So here's what you can steal from his progress and his journey in today's episode that will, if you apply it correctly, guarantee that you can make progress. Maybe not in the same way because you're a different person, but you'll be able to make progress as well. So, Tom, what was
Yes.
Eden's starting weight and how did it impact his vertical?
So his starting weight in kilos was between 100 and 115 kilos. And he's not a short guy. He's between probably 6'3" and 6'5", around that range, depending on obviously what shoes he's wearing. But yeah, he was a heavy guy, regardless of his weight. And a lot of that weight was unfortunately fat. He's kind of in that category where he's a little bit skinny fat. And he was one of those guys early on in his life. He played a lot of basketball. I think when he was 15, he got his first dunk, but didn't really progress that much more in the sense of like his overall jumping progression, and really could only do like one handers at his best. And work gets in the way as you get older. He has kids, have to try to support the kids, and up all night, whatever. Just all those factors meant that his athleticism obviously declined a little bit, and he got to the point where one handers were a struggle, and one handers were like a once in a month sort of thing. And he was happy to hit a one hander, maybe like after a game or whatever, where he's fully warm with adrenaline. Fast forward just under a year, and he can two-hand dunk off a drop step, the same man. But again, he's 20 kilos lighter now. And for those Americans, that's about 40.
That's insane. That's an insane journey. So, did he have any injuries or any particular things he was struggling with in that
Uh,
department?
just in terms of injuries, the main thing I'd say he struggled with, he didn't have like a necessary like big flare up or like a big injury, but he suffers from, best way to describe it is like chronic tightness. Like his muscles are very tight and his joints get very tight. And whether that's a genetic thing or an age thing or just his schedule, because he works out mostly in the mornings where it's like really cold. He's just gotten out of bed. It could be multiple things, but yeah, he struggles with a lot of tightness. So that's something we had to really work around, and we've given him multiple mobility circuits, flexibility circuits, even little tips here and there on like, good ways to warm up for a jump session. Because before he was literally rocking up, shooting a couple shots and then going into his jumps, but really tried to help him and guide him through, how to properly warm up for a jump session to actually reach your potential for that day and reach that potential pain free, most importantly.
What was the main thing that changed the game for him in terms of warming up?
It was really just moving in a more specific manner to what we need to be doing. Because he does a mix of 1 foot and 2 foot, mainly more 2 foot these days. But I had to really hone in and like drill into his mind that, you're not 16 anymore, right? And even if you are 16, I still wouldn't recommend just going max jumping, all of a sudden. Even if you've played pickup before, I don't care what you've done before. You could be sweating. I don't care. I want you to start at a 10% jump, then add 10%, and then add another 10%, all the way to up to your 100. Then start your jump counter. And we're very strict on our jump counter. We make sure we hit the prescribed reps every single week. We don't go over. If there's a week where he's feeling run down or whatever, we do less reps, of course. But yeah, just really slowly adding in jump intensity is, it's been the best thing for him.
What made him make the decision that he needed to lose weight and lose these 20 kilos? And what was the moment he realized that losing weight along with proper strength and power training could work together to get him jumping 6 to 8 inches higher?
I don't know if he had a single moment. I think in some ways he knew he was overweight, and he won't be offended by me saying that. He's a good mate of mine, and he'll admit, yeah, he was overweight. He was fat, and by losing it, he literally went from a dad bod, like the traditional dad bod. He's got a bit of a gut. He's literally got abs now. All right, so like his wife's probably happy. He's happy in himself. So there's obviously that element, but he wanted to jump higher, and he's a smart guy, and he knows that extra 20 kilos was not doing anything for him. His actual basketball games were suffering, so he actually plays not just pickup, he actually plays in like a recreational league. His games were suffering, he was getting gassed out, all that kind of stuff. So, by losing that 20 kilos, you're just not having to lug it around all the time. And, out on top of that, he got stronger. He didn't just maintain strength, he literally got stronger in the weight room. That's the reason he added 6 to 8 inches of vertical. I guess turning point for Eden, why he needs to lose weight, why he kind of needs to lock in, is everything was suffering. He probably will admit, actually, no, he will admit that he was overweight and he didn't, like his appearance and his physique. So, By losing his 20 kilos, he went from typical dad bod, with a gut to literally having abs now. All right. And that's 20 kilos. It's a lot of weight when you think about it in under a year. So he really locked in his diet. He got himself shredded. And on top of that, he actually plays in a pickup league. Well, not just a pickup league. He plays pickup, but he also plays in a, professional, like recreational league, pretty high level. And what was happening is he was getting tired, at the end of games. Not even at the end of the games. He was getting tired like halfway through. And, logging around an extra 20 kilos can make so much difference. Even like an extra 5 kilos, if we're talking on an even smaller scale, that can make a ton of difference. So by losing that weight, getting more shredded, it made it a lot easier for him to move around the court. Add on top of that, his weight room, all the numbers went up. He didn't just maintain, he actually got a lot stronger in the gym. So he got stronger, he lost weight, his relative strength absolutely shot up. And, he can run around the court now without getting gassed out. He's jumping 6 to 8 inches higher, and he's just a completely different athlete. And keep in mind, 41 years old. So he's not like his 18-year-old, with all the adaptation and, recovery power in the world. He's 41. He's got kids, works a full-time job, wakes up at 4:30 in the morning. Sometimes he literally has to sleep in his gym clothes so he can wake up in the morning and go straight to the gym or straight to the basketball court to get his session done, because he doesn't, he can't go for a shower because his kids wake up, right? He can't make any noise. So he literally sleeps in his gym clothes and, he gets it done. Shout out Eden, man.
Yeah, if you want it bad enough, you find a way. All right.
And he did, yeah.
Constantly make excuses, then you just got to accept that you don't really want it that much. So what were his training adjustments like for fat loss? And what did his training look like? What were the key things that drove this sort of result for him that the people listening can obviously apply to their own training that helped him lose all this body fat without losing strength, power, and actually bounce as well?
So at the start, training was quite basic, and we didn't actually do that many jumps because we really wanted to make sure, we built him up slowly in a pain-free manner. So he wasn't getting a lot of caloric burn from his jump sessions. He was really only doing, 10 to 15 jumps at the start per session. He was still playing the same amount of basketball. So that was, a level of caloric burn. But the main progress he made from it was locking in his diet. He stopped eating out. He stopped snacking. He didn't stop snacking. He had snacks here and there in moderation, of course. But he tracked his calories, made sure he was in a deficit, consistently every single week. His weekly average was going down, going down, going down. Months and months pass, and little progress every single week stacks up. And next thing you know, he's lost 20 kilos. And in terms of weight room stuff, again, it started very basic. And then we slowly started moving into more complicated stuff like power work. We started to add in more plyometrics, more sprinting. But, it's all about making sure you do the basic stuff well, and you're progressing the basic stuff well. You don't want to jump, straight into the deep end because, more than likely you're going to get injured. I'd rather you undershoot and then slowly build up rather than overshoot, get hurt, and then have to, rehab and then regress.
About nutrition, what sorts of things was he eating? Like, how much was he eating, and recovery as well? Were there enhancements there?
Recovery, I'm a big advocate of this. Sleep is going to be your biggest driver and biggest mover for recovery. And he is someone who really struggles with sleep because, he's a family man, he's a working man. So, going to bed a little bit earlier is very beneficial for someone like this because he has those early starts. It's very easy to go, at night, you're scrolling on reels or, yeah, I'll chuck on another episode of Netflix, whatever. But, if you really want to make a transformation on your vertical, you need to make sure you're sleeping, and it's like a non-negotiable. In terms of his diet, like I said, he just really cleaned it up, watched his calories, but he also made sure that he ate minimum 1.5 times his body weight in grams of protein. And for him, it was a mix of obviously like protein from meats, but he's also started supplementing with protein shakes, just like throughout the day.
That's a huge one. Like, if you struggle to get protein in consistently, just a very quick, a simple adjustment you can make that'll make an instant difference is just getting a good solid whey protein isolate powder, not a weight gainer, not one with all the extra bullshit in it, just a simple whey protein isolate. That's the best option. And it's very hard to not consistently get enough protein in when you have something like that. Because say one day you only eat 1 meal of protein, you can just like double scoop or triple scoop, and it just makes things way more consistent and reliable. So if you're not taking protein powder and you want to jump higher and recover faster, then absolute must for you.
For sure, man. For sure.
So he lost 20 kilos. He's jumping 6 to 8 inches higher. What about Like, did he have unexpected side benefits of these things? Like, how did he start to feel on the court?
Yeah.
What about even in his day-to-day life? What about his mood, happiness, confidence, all that?
Yeah, 100% confidence, mood has all, increased because, he went from having a dad bod to a shredded physique, and who doesn't want that? So, yeah, in that sense, massive increase. As for on-court stuff, it's, night and day. He, was 20 kilos heavier, so imagine, like, trying to stop with a 20-kilo vest on. Like, you or me, like, it'd be very hard, we'd struggle. And he's also doing that with less muscle. He's got more muscle now than he did then. He's stronger now than he was then. So not only was he heavier, but he was weaker. So, change of direction, much worse. The way he could get off the ground, much worse. His acceleration, much worse. So as a player, way better. He can actually play full games now, not be gassed. And he can also have consistent dunk sessions. Again, he's lighter, so he can actually afford to do more jump reps in his dunk sessions. And that's going to allow him to have, better progressions in his jumping. He's going to be able to practice more because he's going to be able to do more reps. So obviously he was just doing one-handers at the start. He could do two-handers off a drop step. One-handers like nothing for him. He honestly probably doesn't even need to warm up to do it. It's just so easy for him. And now, because we have more jump reps to play with, because he's jumping higher, keep in mind, these 6 to 8 inches is an undershoot estimate. I could even say 8 to 10 potentially, because we haven't actually fully deloaded him in a long time, just because he wants to keep training and training and training. But I think with a full deload and a group session, who knows what could happen with this guy. And I actually might invite him to a session soon and have a dunk session with him. But yeah, definitely, his mood, his, movement on the court has just completely changed.
So the key takeaways for everyone that's listening, like relative strength is by far one of the easiest ways or easiest things you can improve to skyrocket your vertical. If your strength goes up and your body weight goes down, almost impossible to not jump higher if you're practicing jumping consistently. Like, so if you go from squatting 225 to 315 and your body weight stays the same and you're jumping consistently, you're very likely to jump higher if you're doing other things correctly, or even, a little bit less than that, you're gonna be jumping higher. And especially if you're severely, or not even severely overweight, I would say if you're like even between 15 and 20% body fat, if you just make getting lighter more of a priority while holding on to that strength and power, like Tom was saying, and like that should be your number one priority if you want to jump higher and get more athletic before trying to do anything else. Focus on that. That's your lowest hanging.
Yeah. It's free vert. That's what I always say. It's free vert.
No, for sure. For sure. So if you guys want results like this and you want to absolutely transform your life and your vertical, you can apply for coaching below, and we would be more than happy to help you out if that's something that interests you. But you can also get some email advice to your inbox every day. That can be quite game changing. We had people sign up and apply everything that's written there, and they're literally jumping higher just from that free advice alone. So if that's something you're interested in, you can check that out below. And we hope you got this podcast. We've got some value from this podcast, and we'll catch you guys in the next episode.
Peace out.